Carolyn Curtis. I am the chairperson for the Midwives of Color Committee on the American College of Nurse-Midwives Board of Directors. I always knew I wanted to be a nurse when I was a little girl. And when I was in high school, I knew that I wanted to be a midwife. And so I finished my nursing studies, and then I applied for midwifery school. I love it. I love what I do. For half of my career, I did domestic clinical practice. And then for the other half of my career, I've done international health. As a student midwife, we had the requirements that we had to do. One was either you could, if you wanted to look at what it would take to set up a practice. The other option was to work on a committee of the American College of Nurse Midwives. And so we would go to our local chapter meetings. And so my choice was to work on the legislative committee. At that time, we actually got rid of the requirements for midwives to have a relationship with a physician. That work really influenced my role in terms of really looking at legislation throughout my career in midwifery. The American College of Nurse Midwives would do these periodic surveys of its members. There would often be meetings of midwives of color that were just kind of unofficial, ad hoc get-togethers. And as a result of the member survey that happened in 1989, midwives of color felt that they didn't quite have a place. The Midwives of Color Committee used to be the Committee on Minority Affairs. It got started from that and then continuing on. Under the leadership of Patricia Loffman, she was able to get an ad hoc position on the board. And then from that, it was recommended that there be a permanent position for the person who's chairing the Midwives of Color Committee. So that's how I kind of ended up on the board. When I started to practice midwifery here in Washington, D.C., it was not a favorable environment for midwives. I have been able to use a number of tools that were provided by the American College of Nurse Midwives in two areas. One was with the legislation, being able to help inform legislation where we're able to practice to the fullest extent that we can. But the other is even with hospital privileges for nurse midwives, being able to educate medical students and residents on what midwives are able to do. So having all of those resources that I was able to get from the American College of Nurse Midwives was really, really helpful.